Hey everybody, it's Osman, and it's time for another edition of Mind of a Realtor. And today is Monday, August 24th, 2020. We normally try to get these fresh listings out before the weekend's completely over, but sometimes with client activity we end up putting this out on Monday or even Tuesday. As I often write in my blog, and you'll see in our other socials, clients always come first. So I never apologize for late content on our social media. And if you are a client, you know you can always reach us for the latest market information or to schedule a showing, or if you just want to talk about potentially listing your property for sale and want to understand its value. Okay, let's get right down to it. What's going on in real estate here in Boulder? Well, the kids are back, and anyone that lives here in town knows that suddenly there's a lot more traffic and there's a lot more energy too. That's one of the things I love about having CU right here in the heart of Boulder. The energy those kids bring, it's sort of like the city breathes in and breathes out this energy. And when the kids are here, it's so much more vibrant, although there's a lot more traffic. But there's a lot more joy and laughter, and you see all these young people about going to class, or, as it may be the case, learning from home in these weird COVID times. And we're entering the last half of August. Actually, August is almost over, so we're really sliding into the fall real estate season. And in the fall, it's pretty typical that new listings slow down and the percentage of buyers relative to those new listings also drops. The number of buyers in the market also drops. So this year's a little strange with COVID. A lot of buyers are still in the market, and work from home and school from home has shifted buyer needs pretty dramatically. So we're still seeing a lot of market activity, and I included that data in the newsletter so you can check it out. Okay, without further ado, let's get to fresh listings and notable sales. And I'm going to start with notable sales, as I have in the last several Mind of a Realtor videos, and we'll stop there for the public version of the video, and then we'll go to fresh listings for the private newsletter version. And if you'd like the newsletter version, you've heard this before, just go to houseeinstein.com, click on newsletter, and click subscribe. It'll take you all of 5 minutes. And then we can send you private communication about current actively marketed properties. The only way we can talk about those properties constructively and critically is through that private communication. It's just the rules. We got to live by it. So are you ready? Let's go. All right, our first notable sale is 350 15th Street. Now, this is a property that actually sold not that long ago. And why is it back? We don't really know, but it sold for a price that bailed out the first buyer for most of the transaction costs, which isn't bad for an ownership period of a little over a year. And the location is something that I think is particularly attractive. There we go again with, for some reason, this doesn't like showing you the full screen, but that's okay. We'll just deal with this little screen. The location is right next to Chautauqua. So there is very easy access into social trails that lead into the official trails that are just behind Chautauqua Park. And in addition to that, you also have access to all of the cultural events that in normal times occur in Chautauqua, and that makes it pretty special. If you happen to work in Denver or be affiliated with the university, it's a really pleasant connection to the university and a fast commute to Denver. And again, maybe not relevant today, but will certainly be relevant once again. People do like to work together, and I don't think work from home is forever. Collaboration in person is very hard to replicate online, as everyone knows with Zoom fatigue. So this location, pretty darn special, and the house itself is not very old. It was built in 2015. It has what I think of as kind of a classic Colorado mountain feel with these rough stone finishes inside, and I think on the outside too in certain places. It has really attractive openings to the outdoors for outdoor entertaining spaces. There's that more of that rough stone finish. You see this a lot, by the way, in the mountain towns in Aspen and in Vail. We don't see it quite as much here in Boulder, but I think we're going to see more and more of it, particularly as the price points keep moving northward and these homes become more luxurious. The average home in Boulder becomes more luxurious, I should say. Anyway, it's a really tasteful house, and it's sold again. I think these resales that occur in relatively short periods of time with no improvements made or very little improvements made are a really good baseline for appreciation in the Boulder market. And this particular home was well designed. You know you're in Colorado when you have views like this one. 5 bedrooms, 6 baths, but not a ginormous house. It's a little on the large side. It's 4,500 square feet, but it's not a monster. And I think that for its location, it's appropriate. And you'd expect a lot of the neighboring homes to continue to improve and look a lot more like this one in the coming years. All right, our second one that made the cut, we talked about earlier this year. I encourage you to go take a look at it. It's because of how unusual this house is. It's in this modern style of architecture, which is really rare for a residence. Typically, you'd see this more in a commercial building of the era. And the architect, actually, it's his son who's more famous, who designed a number of buildings in Boulder that are quite iconic. But Glenn Huntington is the architect for this house. And if you check it out, you'll get a real sense for why it's a unique property. The Thornton House. Now, why did the seller relist this house so soon after owning it and again made very little improvements? If you looked at the before and after photos from last year versus this year, it looks pretty much the same. I mean, maybe there was some deferred maintenance they caught up on, but overall, it's essentially the same deal. And again, the market more or less bailed them out. They managed to attract a buyer that understood the uniqueness of this house and how it will likely continue to hold its asset value quite well. And it's the unique character of it, the history of this home relative to Boulder's history that makes it unique. It's a one-off, and these one-offs with nameplate architects, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the fresh listing segment, are a unique class of real estate in Boulder, residential real estate in Boulder. There are a handful of really well-known architects, and their work continues to find buyers who are paying a premium for it. I don't think 1.56 is a ridiculous value for this home. 633 a square is maybe a little steep if it was just an ordinary house built in the 30s, but it's not. It has that Provence that should allow it to continue to hold asset value quite well. Now, it's only 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, and maybe that's why they sold, is that it doesn't have the size or storage of a larger home at this price point, and it only has a 1-car garage, which is also going to limit its utility for some owners that need more space to store gear or park vehicles. And often in Boulder, it's store gear, not park vehicles. This is where the public video ends and the private video continues. And now we're going to go to our fresh listings. And if this video stops for you, well, go to houseeinstein.com, click subscribe at the top right. You'll see the newsletter link. It'll take you about 5 minutes. And please send feedback. I'd love your thoughts on what you thought of this video and what you think of our content. And when it comes to buying and selling real estate, I hope you think of us.